Hello, baby.
Ah, the French champagne.
Hello, once again.
Once
everybody.
again. That's
Once
right.
again. Once again and over again.
Once
What's that from?
again. I don't know.
This is Style and Direction, a men's podcast without the stuffiness. This is one
No
of your
stuffiness
hosts,
here, folks.
Ethan M. Wong.
I'm your other host, Spencer, DSO.
And Spencer, I heard you have like an announcement for us or something, right?
I have an announcement to make. I've entered my condo phase. So you might notice if our audio sounds a little bit different, it's because I'm recording in a new place. I'm in a condo now. And
you gotta
I'm
start
all
taking
about...
fit pics like John JTR, so we can start mapping out the condo.
Yeah,
you know?
and so I've ascended past clothes, unfortunately, and now I'm just getting excited about like buying a new spatula, or paper towels and stuff. That's what I get really excited about.
Well,
now.
you know, for the first one, there's a SpongeBob episode about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got to get on this SpongeBob shit. I've been hearing so much about this yellow feller. And
Isn't it like the longest running Nickelodeon show? I think it's the longest running like animated show now. Well, not well.
maybe the
Nickelodeon.
secret to having a long running animated series is giving the main character just like painting him yellow. Because we got The Simpsons, we got SpongeBob, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean those are only two shows that matter actually.
Yeah. But anyway, that's if I'm going to be talking, I'm buying just a lot of grilling and cooking stuff now. And so that's my life. But the audio sounds better, hopefully.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, well, I don't know why I moved. That was the whole
Your
reason.
whole life,
Yeah,
is just about the podcast.
Yeah, it's my life, folks. I care about it.
Your whole life revolves around, just having the best audio quality possible. And if you don't, then you're dead.
Then I'm dead. I mean, I shared with you we can get a $15,000 podcasting cubicle that I can install somewhere in my condo, with or without my roommate's permission.
I think you should do it without your roommate's permission. Better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
Exactly. I mean, what I was thinking is I could just put it in my garage, and it's like, hey, I'll just park outside. It's
There you
that
go.
easy.
That's it.
And I could be like Mark Maron, the king of the king of podcasts.
That's right.
He famously records in his garage.
Did you hear about
Lock the gates.
how Gear Patrol released like their top like fashion podcast for men, and we're not on that list?
Yeah, but
Ouch.
WTF with Mark Maron is.
Yeah, it's actually not. But no, yeah. What's funny, and no shade to Gear Patrol, although I don't like cops, so ACAB. All right, first off, no one likes to patrol here. But there's like a podcast on there that hasn't been updated since December 2020, and I'm like, come on, dude, like, come on.
You can't say that's an active menswear podcast.
Maybe it just says top menswear podcast of all time.
This is the problem with the podcast journalism industry. We need a Gamergate, but for podcasts.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
This is about journalistic
Honestly,
integrity.
what good menswear podcasts are there? Like, other than Blammo and like,
Well,
I
yeah,
guess
because
I
I saw a little
don't
bit of the
know,
list. I saw a little
wow.
bit of the list, and all the podcasts were like, "Oh, here's a history of fashion," and it's like, that's not a menswear podcast.
Pick up a
That's
book.
school. Yeah,
Go back to school, you nerd.
get out of here. With
It's
that
summer
fucking
vacation, baby.
shit. Yeah.
Well, speaking of school, we're about to be schooled on Paris. You like that segue, everybody?
We're gonna get down into this Europe shit. We're gonna figure
That's
out
right.
what's going on over there.
Maybe I should
That's
just call this
right.
Euro Trip, even though it basically only took place in one part of Europe.
one
Well,
city.
what's Franco
Yeah.
trip? Maybe.
yeah,
I guess that sounds like you're like a Spanish fascist, but
Or you're hanging out with two brothers, Dave and James.
you could be. You could be.
There we go.
Those are some unproblematic dudes.
At least one of them, right? Unless they're
Yeah.
both canceled.
I don't know. I think they both. I'm gonna play it safe and say they both are.
It's better
Sorry
to
to
call
the
someone
Franco
canceled
brothers.
than to like any of them. But we've got, well, speaking of James and Dave, we got John.
I guess my dad's
Didn't we
name is
introduce him
Dave,
already?
and I am John, which has a J at the beginning.
There you go. That's all.
It works. It plays.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, John, back onto the pod.
Hey guys, what's up?
For those of you who
Welcome back,
don't know, we interviewed John last year, and we called him a trad in trad world, but apparently he's not that. So
Well, yeah, I know.
Now he's a
I
dad
don't
in
feel like
trad
I ever
world.
claimed to be a trad. Like I live in Tradland, but I don't know.
I mean, I think that was just
I
our
wear
Southern
rep
California
ties.
perspective. We were
Yeah,
like,
it's
look at
also
this,
like a joke.
This Yankee.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, like, going elsewhere, I recognize that, like, I am definitely more of a Yankee than I typically, like, identify it as or, like, think that I am. I don't know.
what do you mean by that?
Like, okay, so actually, to move right into the Paris thing, going there, nobody wears, like, college sweatshirts or, like, not even really, like, OCBDs or milsurp or any of the kind of, like, classic, like, rugged Ivy stuff. And so I definitely, like, moved away from that in my style because I didn't want to, like, out myself as, like, a dumb American, you know, because I already
Yeah.
suck at speaking French and, you know, I don't know, like, being Parisian. But, yeah, I was like, damn, I guess I do dress, like, pretty trad.
And as like I said in your episode, you also sound like American. Like you have like you got that
What
like
the hell does
skater
that
guy
mean?
thing. No, you have like that
sound
skater
as
surfer.
American as the fortune cookie.
But that's
As an
not very
American
trad.
invention.
I guess I don't really know what a trad person's supposed to speak like.
With the video of the Boston Brahmins.
Yeah,
having
the
a
video of those
conversation.
guys, like they just like, yeah, it's lively. Or it sounded like what's the fuck's that conservative British guy that's not British?
Are you William F. Buckley?
Yeah, that guy.
That's like a, what do you call that accent?
Like a mid-Atlantic accent. or
Yeah, the
whatever,
mid-Atlantic.
kind of. Just talk like Frasier, and then you'll fit right in Paris.
He is like the epitome of trad, so I guess yeah, we can use him as like our.
And he's not even
Archetype.
from Boston. Like he only lived in
So
Boston for a little
We're
bit. for that.
doing a Frasier episode of it.
Oh, we are. Yeah, I mean, we're having. Hey, spoiler! alert, we're gonna talk about Seinfeld in a future episode with Young Chomsky,
Yeah,
and we're gonna talk to.
Seinfeld.
We're gonna have. We're not calling it that. But we're gonna be talking about Frasier. Anyway, John's back on the pod. Yeah, he's one of our best friends. You know, I wrote a very nice piece on him because I've been very inspired by him. And
Yes, thank you.
And his fits in Paris, as we talked about, it has a little bit of a style change, or a little bit of a vibe change, and I've been feeling it, which echoes. I mean, me and John have been talking about this for like a long time. You know, when we send each other fits, not just in our Discord, but like just texting each other, and so my style has been very inspired by his journey. So we brought him back on the pod to talk and tell us about Paris because we haven't been to
Yeah.
Paris, Spencer, right?
Well,
as far as I know.
haven't been to Paris.
Well,
you have.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I meant like recently.
Oh, not recently.
But I did. Yeah,
well, I
football-
actually I haven't been at any time, so not. Also not
How about
recently.
any place? Wait, that
Oh
doesn't
my
make sense.
god, we're getting some Doctor Who territory over
Doctor
here.
Who.
Well, I was thinking more like Doctor Strange multiverse kind of thing. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
maybe not.
in
Maybe not
another
Spencer
timeline or
616, or
something?
maybe Spencer 517.
Evil Spencer's gonna come through the portal, be like,
Yeah.
I just got back from France.
You'll never guess. It's destroyed.
Yeah.
But John, tell us
What
what's
would
new.
the evil version of you look like?
Me?
Would it have yeah? Because I'm thinking the evil version of me would have hair and no beard.
I would have no hair and no beard.
Oh my god, completely bald.
Yeah, completely bald like Bruce Willis or something.
Yeah.
And then is he completely bald actually, or does he have like a little bit?
I think
of...
he's completely bald most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think the evil version of me would just be Bruce Willis.
Well, it'd be like Looper.
it would be like yeah, I'm the young version of Bruce Willis.
I remember how
and I gotta
weird
kill myself.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt looked in that movie.
Because they like apparently Bruce Willis refused to put on any prosthetics that made him look more like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So they
had to
just
do-
had a bunch of shit on JGL to make him look like Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
if
what's
I'm
that favorite
remembering right
quotation?
too, that was like peak 2010s style, like super like skinny, like J. Crew esque ties and like floral shirts and shit.
I mean, yeah,
Joseph
JGL did
Gordon-Levitt, at
wear.
least.
He wore that like a lot,
Yeah,
vlogging
hit
and
record.
shit. But John, tell us what's new with you. Our keen followers and groupies just want to know like what's been going on with Mister Teacher.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I was in Paris over my
Yeah.
final holiday break of college. Backstory, my brother, he just graduated from high school and he's spending 9 months in Paris studying at Le Cordon Bleu cooking school. So he's doing
Yeah.
Bon appetit.
cuisine and pastry. And
Damn.
so he's staying with a host family there, and he's had like a good enough relationship with them, I guess, that, I don't know if he asked or my mom asked, but they were totally fine with me staying with them just on his floor for a month.
Literally,
And
right?
so,
That's
Like
nice.
it's literally on his floor.
yeah, so I literally slept on like a bunch of piled up blankets and shit on his floor for an entire month.
Do they not sell air mattresses in France?
Okay, so I had an air mattress for like the first 2 days, and then
Okay.
it fucking popped.
Oh,
And I was
no.
like, either I can go buy another one, or I can just like tough it out. And honestly, like the blankets weren't that much worse.
Okay.
If anything, they might have been a little bit better than the air mattress.
Oh my
But
god.
yeah, needless to say, I didn't get very much sleep. But yeah,
What-
it was
Left
it was
bank or,
sick.
or right bank?
Dude, I don't know. Like, okay, everyone talks about how like the arrondissement system makes so much sense. It's like spokes of a wheel, and it's like left and right of the Seine. Dude, Paris is confusing as fuck from like a geographical standpoint. It is not intuitive.
So you don't
Like-
know where. The reason I ask is because I read this book, and this is my Ethan flex about like the art scene in Paris from like 1940 to 1950, and it's about the left bank, which is like the more like the not as like bourgeois right bank, and so like I was like, oh man, philosophy guy sleeping on the floor. It sounds very left bank to me, baby.
Well, so I was in the 15th AR. I don't know if that means anything. But
Wait, hold on, rereverse
I mean,
those numbers.
AR-15?
AR-15.
You have a
yeah,
gun? And you're
yeah,
pointing
they
it
have-
at me
they have
right
lots
now?
of guns there. Actually, they do have a lot of guns there. Dude, all the cops are just walking around like packing major
Oh yeah, I remember
heat.
that.
It's
yeah, they definitely do.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like, especially I feel like I've been stunted in my geographical abilities by New York City being on a grid. Like,
Okay.
you then go
Yeah.
to somewhere like Paris, and it's like it makes no fucking sense. Although
gotta
the
join us when we play
metros there are
GeoGuessr
really
sometime.
good.
Yeah, GeoGuessr, you'd be really helpful with us.
No.
We'll be
But-
dropped into France. You'll be like, oh, I was right there one day.
Yeah.
That's where I
But-
slept on the floor.
I was just like sort of tooling around the city for like most of the time I was there. I didn't have any specific plans. I had like general, like destinations that, people had given me recommendations of cool museums and restaurants and like historical sites and whatnot. But I mean, I had originally, when I had like looked into doing this trip, planned on traveling around Europe. But obviously, COVID made that incredibly difficult, and I ended up
yeah.
having more problems than I initially had expected. Because while I was there, my vaccine passport expired because my dose was too long. Like, it was too long since I'd gotten my last dose. And so I ended up having to like fake my way into shit using my US vaccine card because literally like the app that they have there, TUS Anti-COVID, whether or not a sort of like shopkeeper or like waiter or whatever had updated their app, it sometimes did and sometimes didn't like check me off as good. So like the whole thing was like shot, and it
Yeah.
made me really scared about traveling like outside of the country. Because I was like not sure if I'd
It
be
could
able
be
to
like
get
the
back
terminal
in.
or something. Like,
Yeah, so that was crazy. But so I ended up just spending time in Paris, which I think in a lot of ways was good because it like I don't know, it made me explore a little bit more, not
Yeah.
feel like rushed, and not waste a lot of time traveling too.
I mean, yeah,
How-
with cities like London or Paris or, even New York, whatever, there's just like so much to do that
Yeah.
if you're going there for like, I don't know if you've been there before, John, but it's like when I did like a month in London, like I thought about like leaving the country, but I'm like, I don't know, there's so much to do in London.
Yeah,
that
it's crazy.
I don't want to. I don't, and also like I'm not the kind of person that wants to like I don't want to go someplace for like 2 days. I don't know. I want to be able to like enjoy myself a little bit more.
Yeah,
relax.
and also like obviously traveling in the EU is easier and cheaper than like traveling the same or similar distances in the United States, say. But it's still not cheap. Like it's really expensive. So that was a little bit
How long
prohibitive
were
too,
you in?
but-
How long were you in Paris? You said over your break. How long was that?
So I think I was there like just shy of a month, so probably like 25 days or something. And I ended up coming back a little bit early because my brother went back to school, and like this was right when Omicron was like starting to peak really bad, and a couple of his friends had already gotten it, and so I got really worried that he was going to go back, get Omicron, then give it to me, and then I wouldn't be able to travel back to the US. And so I ended up leaving like 4 days early or something, and luckily did not get the COVID.
That's good.
There you
What
go.
what's like the COVID situation in France? Do they have like, or what places are open right now? What places are closed?
Well, yeah. So while I was there, and within those last couple of days, they went from having mask mandate everywhere indoors to mask mandate everywhere. So literally outside, just on the streets of Paris, they're back to wearing masks, and like everywhere you go, that's like a sort of restaurant, bar, museum, they have like you have to show your vaccine passport or your like app QR code thing to get in. So it's pretty strict. I mean, obviously, like here and like, even some of the strictest places, you go into bars or like brasseries or whatever, and there are people fucking everywhere. Everyone's smoking cigarettes and like blowing the smoke in each other's faces. So it's like a lot of it does feel like a little bit performative. But
That's what I always felt about like people complaining, because like obviously in California people are like, oh man, it's like I literally had someone compare this to Auschwitz, which I thought, I was like, okay, that's a little too much.
Jesus.
But then the guy's like, yeah, I could never go back to New York. It's crazy. I'm like, dude, when I was there, like, yeah, it's all like they did ask for it, but then you go inside, like, yeah, me and John, like, we were there, and like the bar was like packed, and it's
yeah,
like
it was
not
like
even
body
like,
to body.
Yeah, I think it like the like COVID stuff is like stricter in California than it is in New York. Anyway, I don't know why.
and even
it'd
then,
be-
it's like it's not that strict here. like
Yeah,
like
it's
people are still getting COVID now, and it sucks. But this is not an anti-vax podcast.
No, I just got
heads up here.
boosted actually.
There you go. We're pro vax, baby. PV. P and V.
PV.
So okay, so you were there for a little under a month here. How did you approach packing for this? Like I remember before my New York trip, I had called Spencer and okay, how am I gonna make this? You and I talked a little bit about like, okay, what should we wear? What days? I can't imagine, and I've never like been somewhere for more than like 2 weeks. Like my Japan trip was like 12 days, and like 2 of those days were like traveling, obviously. So how did you approach your packing?
So like you, this was the first time for me that I'd ever gone somewhere for that long, and definitely the first time going somewhere for that long when I've really cared about like menswear and just like, making good outfits on a daily basis. And I also had to grapple with the fact that it was going to be cold. Like, it's a lot easier. In some senses, it's easier to pack for the summer because literally just the garments themselves are smaller and lighter weight. But you also do have to, like, wash them more, and your outfits are more, like, based upon a singular statement piece rather than, like, layering.
Yeah.
But I only had one suitcase and a backpack, and so... I think it was 50 pounds my suitcase was. And I just tried my best to pick pieces that would be like layerable with one another. And I honestly think I failed really hard. I don't know if it was just like me putting too much pressure on myself while I was there to like not repeat fit vibes or something. But I felt like I packed so shit the whole time I was there. Like, I think the main problem was it was unseasonably cold when I was there.
Wow,
Like
okay.
Paris was way colder than it is typically, and I had only brought one coat. I brought that tan camel polo coat that I
Yeah,
just
that one's
recently thrifted, and I should have brought another coat so that way I had just like some variability in my outerwear. But I don't know. I didn't pack enough regular shirts. I didn't pack enough layerable knitwear. And I packed too much like tan things that did not go together. So definitely before I left, I was getting on this
Yeah.
kind of like weird 70s like earth tone vibe
Yeah, I feel
kind of
it.
thing.
I feel it.
And I don't know. That's like a tough way to dress, honestly, because so many like tans, if they have like different base notes to them, if they have like a green base note or an orangey base note, they just do not work well together. And I definitely ran into that a lot.
I
But
feel like
I don't know.
well, like yeah, packing for long trips like that is so tough because it kind of removes the like I don't know like spontaneous inspiration element of
Well,
dressing.
And in
Yes.
a way
Yeah.
too, like I don't know about you guys, but when I've gone on like shorter trips, I tend to sort of block out like maybe 4 looks. You know, like I have this evening look, I have this day look, I have this warm look, I have this cold look, whatever, you know. And when you're packing for 30 days, like you can't do that. You're just trying to go for a general capsule wardrobe kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And-
Yeah, this is your exercise in putting together a capsule wardrobe.
Hate it.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah, and exactly. That's the thing. I fucking hate capsule wardrobes. I'm a maximalist. Like, I like having a bunch of different things, and depending on the day, like, my style can vary vastly. And I didn't want to, like, pigeonhole myself by packing, like, I don't know, like, mad boring shit. And so I just think I ended up being a bit too bold with some of my choices. And I ended up, I think, then like repeating a lot of outfits because I recognized that there were only so many directions I could go in that actually ended up working with the stuff that I had. But
So-
I did pick up things there.
Yeah, I
that
was gonna
supplemented
say.
my wardrobe. And my brother and I are the same size for a lot of things, so I was
Hey.
able to
Yeah.
steal some of his clothes.
Brotherhood
Yeah,
of
well-
the traveling suits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so before we get into the new stuff, so what did you actually bring with you that was like yours? Because I do see some stuff that the kind of like your navy jacket, I think, or whatever did come there. Your raw hem jeans. What
Yeah.
did you actually bring with you?
Okay, so I brought my tan corduroys, which I wear all the time. I brought my raw hem orange tabs, which I wear all the time.
Yep.
I brought my navy double-breasted brass button blazer. I brought my brown tweed 30s DB blazer.
Yeah.
I brought... Oh, you're really testing me.
Should just left your bag unpacked.
I
so
know,
you can go
right?
through it. Yeah.
Oh,
Like a month later.
I don't know. I brought... Like, I'm thinking about all the pieces that I wore the most. I brought my...
There you go.
Like this mustard yellow Pendleton like super heavyweight moleskin work shirt. I brought this yellow, brown, orange check button down shirt. Brought like a blue and white OCBD. I brought a white OCBD. Brought a
And you
bunch
could
of
have done
ties.
laundry there, right? Like they had a laundry
Yes,
machine.
yeah, I was
Okay.
able to do laundry there.
That's
I like
the
hiking
key.
boots
by
that
the
you
way.
brought. Those are
Like,
cool.
Yeah, I got the hiking boots there, so
Oh, there you go,
we can talk
okay.
about that later. But I don't know what else did I bring. I only brought 4
Jungle
pairs
jacket?
of shoes. I brought like brown boots, black boots, my black tassels, and
Yeah.
then I don't even know what the 4th ones were.
Okay, well, how about this? Let's talk about what you bought there, and you
Yeah.
know, because I feel like
Yeah,
that kind
these
of
people don't need a
little bit, right?
listicle of all the shit that I packed,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially because I packed so badly.
So what
Guys,
did you
here's
get?
how not to pack for a month-long trip.
Yeah, because you found some really cool stuff. I mean, I think the one that stood out to me was the DB
Yeah.
Cheney blazer, right?
Yeah.
That was
So that one I found at like the big ass flea market in Paris. Like there's this one like famous, like humongous flea market that's running all the time.
Yeah.
And I just like went into like one of the vintage shops there or like sellers there, and I was like looking through a bunch of his stuff and ended up like grabbing this blazer, and I was like, oh, it's gray flannel, and I've been looking for a gray flannel jacket, and then I pulled it out and I was like, oh, it's DB, and then I looked at the tag and I was like, oh shit, it's bespoke.
Yeah.
And I tried it on, and I think I ended up paying like, I can't remember if it was 120 or 150, which I think is like a good deal. He knew what he had. He knew what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like this gorgeous heavyweight flannel.
Do you know how
DB.
old it is?
I think it's tagged 78.
Wow,
Can't
really?
remember. Yeah. It's in
That's cool.
remarkably good condition for its age.
And it doesn't look 70s to me. Like it looks. I thought it would be like 80s or 90s maybe.
But with a lot of the bespoke tailoring houses, like their styles remain relatively
Yeah,
constant
that's
unless they have
true.
customers
yeah.
that really want something that's, in the trendy sort of aesthetic or cut or whatever.
Right,
But
right.
Yeah,
Damn,
no,
that one's awesome.
it is like, it's like a 6-on-1 or 2 because it kind of like rolls on both, which I think
That's
is
the idea,
rad.
baby.
It's perfect.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah,
We're
and
gonna-
it's got a
we're gonna
nice
have a
strong
DB
shoulder,
episode in the
strong
future.
chest. Like, dude, I've been getting way more into DBs. Like, I kind of only want to wear DBs now.
That's how I feel, man. I am so excited to get my brown Chris Bear one from Hall Madden at some point because you guys see I've been wearing my fucking like my DB
Yeah.
brass button blazer a lot, my DB navy suit a lot, and I have that green one
Well,
from Dave. So
To me, especially in the winter, like wearing DBs, they feel a lot more like jackets than like
Yeah.
a sport coat. You know what I mean? Like they
Maybe
have
that's
this
the
like
theater kid with the
wraparound
pea coat,
feel,
like-
drapey feel, and
And I mean,
Yeah.
when you wear
Yeah.
it open, it seems more like casual. It's
Yeah.
It's sometimes easier to wear than a single-breasted one. I finally got to the pictures of the gray blazer, and yeah, I love the shoulders on that. Those are really nice.
yeah, it's really good. And then I also got another gray flannel jacket there too. That's from like Pucci, I think, or some other like small Italian tailor, Roman. And it definitely has like a very Roman cut. It's got like a a stronger shoulder, a little bit less waist suppression, slightly more closed quarters, 3-roll too. It's rad.
man, yeah, that's it's cool that you're finding this stuff at the vintage stores because we don't. That's
Yeah.
one thing America, or at least California, doesn't have a lot of. We're like, yeah, we have a lot of work, a lot of milsurp, a lot of period clothing, because of as I realize, it's like, yeah, people film movies here, people lived here, but we don't have bespoke. Like, New York, you could probably find some bespoke, maybe if you look through some stuff, and I know London has like secondhand bespoke stuff, but you don't see that here. So
Yeah,
that's super
Yeah.
cool.
So that was like a big thing that I noticed and just like thought it would be interesting to talk about, like the differences I saw in what you find in like the average thrift or vintage store there. Like Paris has way more high fashion stuff, first of all, in their thrift
Yeah.
stores, like tons more, and way more bespoke. And then they also have like a lot of workwear, and their like contemporary or like recent vintage workwear is the kind of like French workwear that you find at like curated vintage shops or like vintage sellers in the United States, and it's dirt cheap. Like I ended up getting a blue chore jacket finally because I remember like when we were at the Rose Bowl, I couldn't find one that was a length that I liked. They were all a little bit too short, but I found one in sport coat length that was $5 and or
Hey.
€5 at like just a thrift store, and there
Hell
are
yeah,
tons
dude.
of them. And so I picked that up. But yeah, there's also a ton more bespoke. Like if you go into a nice curated vintage shop there, and I went into a couple like this, they'll just have several racks of just bespoke suits from either tailors you've heard of or just like random ass tailors, but you can tell it's bespoke because it's like hand padded lapels,
Yeah.
hand finished buttonholes, and then like someone's name, like very minimal or no branding. It's like, and it's all just freaking gorgeous. And most of it actually is Italian. There isn't that much Parisian tailoring from what I can tell. or from what I saw. But
I feel like
Yeah.
I've heard this from like Permanent Style before too, where like there's like French tailoring is not there's not as much of a name for it, or people don't recognize it. I'm sure that there are, but it's just no obviously when Italy's like kind of like not like right there, but it's
well,
it's close
and I
enough.
think too, Italian tailoring is cheaper than French tailoring, especially than like Parisian tailoring. So a lot of people will just go there and get 3 suits done because it's way cheaper. But yeah, Paris doesn't have much of a men's or much of like a tailoring tradition. It seems like I hate to say that because I'm sure someone will like give me 15 examples of why I'm wrong. But
How
dude,
dare
all the
you? That's not a
Parisian
French
tailors, I think, just have mad weird styles. like
Really?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm really not a fan of Cifanelli. I think it's a weird look for the most part.
I think it looks good on Ralph. That's about it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
What were the like average guys in Paris wearing? How well dressed
there you
is
go.
is
There you
Paris
go.
compared to other cities that you visited?
Okay, so this is interesting because going in, I was like, the world is so globalized, and especially if you're in like cities, metropolitan centers, like everyone in the world now dresses the same. We all have the same food everywhere. We all have the same everything. So I was like, they're going to be no different than like, anywhere. They're going to be the same as New York. The average Parisian person dresses like a cut above the average American
Really?
or New Yorker.
Really?
Like definitely. There's definitely just much more like the average person just cares about style a little bit more and probably has better access to like stylish clothing than around here. As for like the actual style, there was a decent amount of diversity. But I guess what stood out to me the most was like almost this like country workwear kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, so there were a lot of like colorful corduroys, a lot of barber jackets, a lot of really chunky sort of like alpine style shoes. So like
Hell yeah.
either like chunky loafers, chunky derbies, or like, even like Tyrolean shoes, like para boots. Like there are para boots everywhere. Like every third person is wearing para boots or JM Westons, like
Damn.
tons of scarves. Tons of sort of like colorful accessories like hats and gloves.
I've been told, like 3 times in my life when I wore a scarf, someone goes, "Man, you look French," and I'm like, I don't know what the addition of a scarf means, but I guess if you're saying you see it everywhere,
Yeah, I mean,
know?
it's crazy. Like everybody wears scarves, and it was probably because when I was there, it was very cold.
That's true. It's cold. Yeah.
But yeah, like I was shocked, especially because at least like when I was growing up, like it was always seen as like, oh, it's gay as hell if you're a guy and you're wearing a scarf, like that was like a gay thing. And
But I mean, it's gay Paris, so it's not
yeah,
a problem over there.
I guess it's like, yeah, dude, it's really gay having a neck that's like,
I don't know if I've said
warm.
this before, but my friend Scott, he would in high school he would wear a scarf all the time, and even if he and we wore polo shirts to school, so it was kind of like his thing. I maybe he has like he just runs cold kind of a thing, but like I just thought it was always funny. He literally wore a scarf like no matter what. But maybe he's being French,
Maybe
He's just being French. Because yeah, it's funny because other than like I don't know, like other than just like wearing like skinny black suits or whatever, I don't really have much of a conception of like what is like a French like what's like French menswear. I guess there's like French Ivy, but that's still like very vague.
Okay,
and just kind of
so, and that very like
whatever.
mod look that I think a lot of people associate with like Paris or something, that actually is not as prevalent as you
okay.
think. So like I don't know if it's like coming from French cinema or French intellectuals or whatever that people have that association, but like there aren't that many people that wear like the kind of all black, like, tailored turtleneck kind of thing. I mean, there definitely are some, but less than I think what people think. What there is, though, that people do, associate with Paris is berets and like funky eyewear. Like that is totally a thing. So people wear berets. They also wear these like caps that are like a ball cap that have no brim. I don't even know what to call them.
Okay, like a skull cap.
I guess they have like
Yeah.
the section in the back to like, Velcro it short or
Yeah,
whatever.
I've seen there's a couple places
What?
in LA that sell those.
Yeah, they're really
weird.
funky.
Yeah.
But a lot of people wear those. A lot of people wear berets, and on every corner there's like a cool little optician, and like they have all these like chunky acetate glasses and like just like really funky eyewear, and
Did you get
pretty
any,
much
any
everyone's wearing
frames?
funky eyewear.
Any frames while you were over there?
No, I had wanted to get sunglasses, and I stopped into a couple places, but I ended up not. I don't know.
I saw you brought your glasses, or you had glasses while you were
I
there.
did, yeah. I brought my fake glasses, my my American Optical like gray ones, and then sunnies. But it was so cloudy the whole time I was there, and I
It's
guess
Europe,
that's pretty
baby.
normal for the winter. Yeah, but I didn't wear sunglasses at all.
If you want a place to wear sunglasses, there's a good place called Los Angeles,
That's
baby.
right.
The sun is literally right outside my window right now.
Wait,
Can't
right
wait to
outside.
get back out there.
Yeah, it's I'm in.
You're
I'm in-
burning.
Yeah. But okay, so tell us about pair boots, because you bought pair boots, and that's something that Spencer, Spencer and I, we've worn suits before, but something that we haven't done is pair boots. Tell us about that.
We've worn suits, but no pair of boots.
So yeah, that actually. So my parents just like before Christmas, like months before, they were like, "Yeah, we don't like have any gifts for you." I was like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I don't need any gifts. Like, it's totally fine." And
I'm
so
the
they
same
ended
way,
up just
yeah.
like not getting me any gifts, which like I'm not mad about at all. They ended up, like coming to Paris, and we were able to stay with them in their Airbnb, and we went out to dinners, and like that was enough of a Christmas for me. I'm totally grateful for all that. But my mom actually didn't bring like any lace-up walking shoes to Paris. And I was like, "Mom, like you should get para boots. Like look at all these people with para boots." And everyone I feel like that follows me or even follows like Style and Direction like knows about my mom. She is cool as hell and has like amazing style, like way better than mine. And so she was like, "Hell yeah." Like I'm totally into like the chunky like Tyrolean shoe look. And so I took her to para boot, and she tried on some para boots. She ended up getting some Michaels, and while I was there, she and I both like love those like hiker style boots. And apparently, I guess everyone does now. That's like a thing. Those like hikers are having like a moment. But we were eyeing those, and I was like, "All right, so can I try these on in like a 41 and a half or whatever?" And I tried them on, and my mom was like, "Oh my God, those are so fucking cute." And I was like, "These are so fucking cute." And so those ended up being my one Christmas gift.
What are they called? Can you pronounce their name?
Of that model,
It's like Alvarez, I think, or whatever, right?
I don't even know. I have to look it up.
I really would. Yeah, I mean, I don't really like buying shoes unless I can try them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I just feel like it never works out anytime I bought shoes online. I mean, I guess it has because I bought several pairs of shoes online that I still wear, but usually it doesn't. And I really want pair of boots, but yeah, there's no place in California that stocks them.
Yeah.
That's probably not true, but I want to try them on, and there's no place around me that
Yeah,
stocks them.
and I would, because I ended up, I think, going down a half size, and they are slightly narrower than
Yeah.
like the average shoe.
Yeah, especially
just
with like
sounds scary to me.
European shoes and everything. Like,
Yeah.
there's just such a difference between brands and everything that I'm like, I can't do it. I can't
Yeah.
buy these online without
But-
trying them on first.
Anyways, I feel like I actually was justified in getting them because I live like in the Northeast and don't have a pair of like actual rugged boots that are like suited for winter and like slush and snow and shit. And so now I do. Because I just have like only fucking dress shoes.
No, that was me. I wore my Alden Commando boots to go airsofting, and then I got these Eddie Bauer, like I guess the Danner style like hiking boots, but they're the Eddie Bauer K6. So I don't. They never sent me a shipping notification. Maybe by the time this comes out, I'll have it. But I'm excited to
What
see it.
what are
And,
they calling this new form of ivy? Is it like hardcore ivy or
No,
something?
well, it's not new. It's a '70s term called heavy duty ivy,
Oh, heavy duty.
and it
that's
was
right.
coined by like a Japanese magazine in like the '70s and '80s.
Oh, okay.
And
Gotta get Ame Tora, man. Read all about
Yeah.
this.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so you got those shoes. You got a bunch of cool stuff. Now, did that help you make some more fits? Like, at what point did your fit start getting better, or at least that you thought you were like making some good stuff?
I think honestly, like looking back on the fits that I made and like all the fit pics I took, I'm like, these fits are all like pretty good. I think I just like got in my own head a lot while I was there. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was about to
Got,
ask you, like, so being
performance
around the
anxiety or
city-
something.
Yeah, like, did you feel like you stood out? Did you feel like you leaned into the look? Like, what's your mindset there?
Yeah, so I think part of it was that I was like trying to simultaneously like, I don't know, like assimilate, but also like, maintain my personal style. Like I said earlier, people don't wear the sort of like American, collegiate look at all there. And so I ended up
Gauthier
like,
Borsallo might do that because he loves vintage.
yeah. But I ended up dipping more into like, sort of like minimally tailored and like somewhat workwear inspired looks. What was even the question? What did you say?
No, I'm just asking, like, again, did you feel like you leaned into like the Parisian vibes while
Oh.
you were there, or how did you?
Yeah, I leaned into like a very I don't know if I leaned into like a Parisian vibe or what kind of vibe. I think I just leaned into like a more understated vibe in general.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure how to describe this sort of aesthetic I went for the most part. And I think like from like looking back at the outfits, there was like a fair amount of variation. But I definitely was feeling this like brown, tan, black, and gray thing. I don't know what that was about, but like
The 4 colors.
yeah. I was really liking like wearing, my mustard shirt with a black tie and a gray jacket and black boots. Like that was my vibe.
I mean, I'm looking through and, everything a lot of your fits, they're I guess what you would call practical uses of tailoring.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing. I
Call
had
that
to
to
think
us.
about like being warm and like having enough pockets to like pull out my stupid vaccine card and my Metro card and my whatever. But I don't know. Like,
I mean,
don't-
yeah. I mean, I
don't
feel
know.
like obviously it's kind of tough. Like, you don't live in Paris. You don't have your wardrobe with you there. So, and you're living. You're kind of working out of your suitcase and your vintage purchases. So I feel like, you are kind of like limited, and it is an interesting exercise. But I still feel like it still looks very you. And definitely, again, like for me, again, the reason I wanted you on here is because I feel like it's very inspiring to see these kind of rugged stuff. Because I still own like a lot of stuff that look it's very similar to this. I just don't wear it in this way. A lot of more minimal stuff or
What pieces
know.
are you reacting to in particular?
I mean, like, I think like the checked work shirt with like a tie that you did. A lot of the mustardy yellow stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course just wearing wide pants with like everything I think is just really cool. Like you have like some like brown cotton dungaree kind of stuff that I feel like with like you wore that with like a white jacket, I think.
Yeah,
that
those were a
was really
pickup.
cool.
Those
Yeah.
were like dead stock flares that I picked
Damn.
up for like €20 or something
Damn,
from the
that's odd.
70s. Yeah.
Okay, so
those were rad.
okay, did you go? What other modern stores did you go to? I'm sure people are curious to hear
Yeah.
about like the regular menswear stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of people were asking me about that and like giving me recommendations and whatnot.
Yeah.
I gotta say I was kind of underwhelmed by a lot of it. So
Americans,
Sorry, Paris.
come on.
yeah, sorry Paris, but I don't know. There was like beige habilleur, which is like Drake's, I guess I'd say, or like
Yeah.
a very sort of pared down version of the Armory. Prices were incredibly high, and just like the pieces were about the same as what you'd get at the Armory. There was Brute, which everybody was saying, oh, you gotta hit Brute. I was really underwhelmed. I think partially because they're stocking an aesthetic that I have such easy access to here, and you guys definitely have even easier access to where you are. And the prices are super high. Like they're selling like Pendleton flannels for like, you know, €80 or something.
I
And
think it depends on what you get from them because I mean they have some cool like European military stuff
yeah,
from like the 70s or 80s that's usually pretty cheap, but I never
yeah,
get
so a
anything because
lot
I don't
of
want to pay
their
international
like
shipping.
a lot of their Euro workwear and Euro milsurp like didn't seem to be on the floor of the store.
I wonder if
Interesting,
that's
okay.
all
That's
like for
kinda weird.
online. Yeah.
It kind of seems like it. So that was unfortunately a little bit disappointing. I'm trying to remember what other contemporary stores I went to.
You have something here called Come On Eileen.
That was there were two vintage stores that were
Okay,
called Come
okay.
On Eileen, and those were both really pretty rad. The prices were kind of high on things, but like tons of bespoke stuff, like you know tons
Damn.
of designer tailoring, and yeah, those were cool shops. So my favorite store was Chez Amar, which was a vintage
Okay.
store. And it's
Yeah.
clearly this guy's second job because the store opens at like 5 o'clock and closes at
Huh.
like 8 or 9. And
Okay.
it's just in
That's
this
pretty
like
cool.
random hole in the wall, and it's super packed. Like there's a little basement area, and shit's all just like piled up. He clearly is just like a picker and like you know likes clothes or whatever. But he has a ton of good stuff, and he's a super chill and funny guy. He speaks a little bit of English, and my French is like okay, but we were able to sort of like shoot the shit and talk about you know like why I was in Paris and you know the
Right,
type of
right.
clothing I was into, and he sort of recognized quite quickly that I was like into like bespoke stuff and like
Yeah.
you know like tailoring in general. But yeah, the guy has like tons of like JM Weston, and he had like Aldens, and he had Paraboots, and he had so much bespoke shit. And so I ended up getting that gray flannel single-breasted jacket from him. And I brought my brother there just to like introduce him and like show him the store. And yeah, dude, the guy had so much good stuff. And it was he seemed to have a very cool clientele. Like while I was there, both times I went, and he's right near the Moulin Rouge. But while I was there were young people like right about my age who seemed like a little bit interested in menswear. Two of the guys that were there the first time I went were there to pick up stuff for a New Year's party.
Oh, that's cool.
And I don't know
Nice.
how they had gotten that recommendation, but they were pretty cool. And I was able to sort of like shoot the shit with them. And like the next time I was there were some other young people there too. But yeah, that place was really, really rad. And anyone that goes to Paris, I totally recommend it. His hours are weird, but you can find them on his Instagram.
Well, maybe if you're a working adult, then I guess you have the best. You have the best one. You just go after work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
get a fucking job.
no, it's actually like nice
not gonna be an
hours.
issue.
It's just
Yeah.
like not your typical retail location, you know, situation.
So your favorite was a vintage store there.
Yeah.
So nothing else. No. Did you go to Husbands at all? Anything like that? No.
No, so I tried to go to Husband's, but it ended up being closed. Like their hours were like listed wrong or something, and I walked over there and they were closed. I thought about maybe like going to Cifanelli or what's the other one? I don't know, some other famous Parisian bespoke
Holiday
tailor.
below. Oh no. Okay. Yeah.
But
Did you
I
do
didn't.
Holiday?
Which one?
Because there's Beige Habilleur and then there's Holiday Boileau, which is like another retail store. I guess not. Never mind.
I've
It's
heard
fine.
of that one. But you know,
Wow.
I went to Paraboot. I went to a couple different Paraboot locations. I went to
Nice.
JM Weston.
Oh, tell us about JM West.
JM Weston, dude, they have some nice shoes, and they are expensive as fuck. Like I didn't realize how expensive JM Weston stuff is. But I went to that store that has all those really weird like shoe things, like shoes that were lasted around like weird bits of like tree branches, and like
Okay, that's
two Chelsea
interesting.
boots that are stuck together by the top, and like a derby that has like 15 soles on the bottom. Kilty shoes that have like the kilty tassels that are like 6 feet long. But the thing that stood out to me the most at JM Weston, and I think the thing that they're known for, at least there, are like their chunky derbies and their chunky loafers. And in particular, they had this one pair of tan derbies with a crepe sole that was like an inch thick. And it just reminded me so much of like, like 40s apparel arts illustrations of people like in the Alps and stuff, and the types of shoes that they would wear there. And those were cool as hell, but I think they were like €1,200 or something, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Ryan was telling me how it wasn't in Paris, but he went to like a J.M. Weston store in like Japan, I think, and he ended up pulling the trigger, and those like his favorite like black like penny loafers, which is like the classic J.M. Weston right there,
Yeah. Well, I don't know like how familiar you are with the J.M. Weston models, but what do you think about their penny loafer? Because it's definitely a different look, and a lot of the sort of Parisian loafers follow that style. It has a slightly longer vamp, often a split toe.
Yeah,
I
don't know how I feel about it.
and they're kind of low profile. Like I mean, like they're not like they're kind of. It's interesting because like usually like long vamp stuff I feel like I don't like, but the J.M. Weston it's like slowly growing on me. But I know I'm very anti high vamp, but I feel like I would want to try them on because it's like it's kind of like Crockett and Jones, where it's like I don't have an issue with Crockett and Jones over Alden. I'm sure it's better than Alden, but like I don't have any experience with it.
I think the fact that the toe box is a little bit more blunted than your average high vamp loafer does balance the silhouette of the shoe reasonably well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because when you get those like Magnani or something like super high vamp loafers with the elongated toe box, it can just look like really clownish, But
yeah, and we hate clowns.
We do hate clowns. Yeah.
Well, so to get away from Enter a little bit, tell us like what's some highlights of like you hanging out in Paris, before we close out. We want to hear that.
Honestly, like the biggest thing for me was just hanging out with my brother. Like
Cute.
like I have a really close relationship with my brother, and it's sucked not having him around for so long, and to not even really.
How much more school does he have over there?
He's there until late June.
Wow.
So he's there for a while. But yeah, like even, obviously we live in like an ultra connected world, but the time change being 6 hours and him being in school, it just makes it really hard to communicate with him. So it was really nice hanging out with him. And some of like the best times I had were us just like tooling around, like, taking the metro, taking fit pics on the metro, and then cooking. He's obviously in cooking school there, and he already was like quite an accomplished chef, I guess. I'll call him a chef. He wouldn't call himself a chef, but he's gotten even better. And we cooked a lot together. We went out to eat a lot together. And one of the most fun things that we did was his local like patisserie, which was like a bakery. We tried every single pastry they made over the course of like 20 days or something, and we made like a ranking list, and he's now like started ranking pastries on his story.
Okay. Pastry ranker.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was really fun. I don't know, on Christmas we went to this a Catholic mass at like a an ancient stone church with beautiful stained glass.
Are you Catholic? Is your family Catholic?
No, we're pretty secular. But we were like, we're here, we're in Paris, and
when in
Paris,
go to mass.
Yeah, we just literally, I looked around like as I was walking around the city in the days leading up to Christmas. I just looked for like posters that advertised like masses that were open to the public.
Yeah. Well, I know that. Isn't France like a very secular country in general?
I think so, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. To me, it was more about like the historical and artistic elements about it. Because we're not very religious.
Did you go to the cursed catacombs?
So we had wanted to actually, but they were closed because of the holidays.
Oh no, because of the monsters.
Yeah, probably that. I mean, they
as above, so below, close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the other things that we did though that were awesome.
Did you was this your first time in Paris? Actually, I don't know if we said this.
No, I've been to Paris, I think once before, but I was so young. So
Oh,
this was
okay.
my first time there as an adult and as a person that, enjoys traveling and appreciates, all that traveling has to
Culture.
offer. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Did you get to go to the Louvre?
I didn't go to the Louvre because I went when I was younger.
Okay.
And it was just so fucking packed. I walked, past the Louvre and, past like the Tuileries Gardens and stuff. And like during the holidays, like during the time that I was there, it's insane. And so I went to, plenty of other museums.
Yeah.
But
Well, you
When-
missed
when's
out
a
on
good place
on the,
to yeah.
on the
When's a good place to
burial place
visit?
of Mary Magdalene.
God.
Sorry.
Where's
Yeah.
a good place to visit? Like a good time to visit Paris? Because I mean, obviously, like in the winter, you're right. I mean, I guess just anywhere other than the winter or summer.
yeah, I don't know, honestly. Yeah, you off
Because if you
peak
just want to
times,
avoid
probably.
peak, tourist season. But
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, as long as you just go to places that are generally off the beaten path, and I think this holds true for like most of traveling, like you're not going to run into that many tourists. Like
Yeah.
we went to some museums that were smaller. I can't remember what the museum was called, but it was like a Monet museum, and it was fucking incredible. And there was like nobody there, and it was like December 26th or something,
Did they project
Boxing
Monet
Day.
on the walls? Have you heard of
man.
this?
No.
It's an LA thing.
Wait. Oh yeah, it's in LA. Oh man. So, this little quick thing here. In Japan, I went to like this digital art installation, which is kind of Instagrammy, but I feel like this one in Japan was not. It's like they use a lot of like projection stuff, and it's really cool. Like on different like, it's like you could have like some blank like sphere, and they would project art onto it. And I guess they kind of did that with Van Gogh. But I heard that it's basically like a PowerPoint presentation because like it's just not as good as like the Japanese one, and so it's like a running joke here in LA that people paid like a lot of money to go to this. It's mostly like digital art thing with like Van Gogh's whatever, but then it's like literally like just them projecting stuff onto a wall, and like that's it. So
Yeah.
anyway, funny
Um,
LA joke.
What? How about food and drink?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
dude.
So honestly,
I, need to hear
I
about
feel
the food
like
and drink over there.
yeah. So
Both.
like food and drink really was the main focus of the trip. Like it was
Hell yeah,
not
dude.
really menswear. It was way more about food and drink. And we actually ended up eating out a lot less than I thought we were going to, and
Okay.
cooking a lot more.
Why not? I
Partially
would say why not?
because there are farmers markets like every day, depending on what
Hey.
arrondissement you're in, and they are incredible. Like the amount of fresh produce, fresh meat, fresh cheeses, fresh
Fresh.
jams and jellies and wines and whatever. Like it is unbelievable. And also, their supermarkets there have tons of fresh stuff and have tons of great products that are ridiculously cheap. Like it's amazing. And so my brother and I ended up like cooking a lot more and eating out a little bit less. But dude, oh my God, the pastries there, the bread there, like it's so good. I ended up not drinking that much at all while I was there. I had intended on, like getting hammered every night off of like
Yeah.
cheap ass wine or whatever. But I actually don't, I don't dislike wine, but I'm not very into wine as a person. I'm much more into
I feel you.
cocktails.
Same.
I'm just overwhelmed by the wine world, and so I've never taken the time to like find out what I like, because half the
Yeah.
time I'll order a glass and not like it. But yeah, their cocktail culture is shit, so I didn't really drink
they
that
don't-
much.
That's what I've heard. There's not many people drink like cocktails.
No,
with
it's
liquor. In
Like
France.
even the nicest
least in
restaurants,
Paris.
their cocktail menus are typically like what you'd get at a college bar in the United
Wow,
States.
okay.
Like it's pathetic. And part of me is like, I need to go there and like open a real cocktail bar, because there's definitely a market for
you
it.
could start something.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, they could have gotten some. Damn, what's the liquor? Absinthe. He could have gotten some absinthe.
Well, I actually have absinthe in my home bar here,
Well,
so
hey,
I don't
I've
need to
I've
get
had
absinthe.
you know, you could,
But I will
you're,
say-
you're in the motherland.
Yeah, some of their fortified wines and sort of like
Yeah.
those unique spirits, they are cheaper there. So that I mean, like green chartreuse, yellow chartreuse were like $20 cheaper than what they are here.
Wow, okay.
Which I wish I could have, had more space in my luggage because I would have brought them home. But
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, honestly, like the standouts when it comes to food are the fucking pastries, dude. Like it really, like the stereotype
Carbs.
holds up, man. Yeah, France knows how to do their carbs. Like, my favorites were, a pain au raisin, the chausson citron, which is like a lemon curd turnover kind of thing.
That sounds really good. I love lemon.
Abricotine, which is like this puff pastry, apricot, and like weird like jelly kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could just list them off forever, but man, yeah. Ugh.
Damn. Yeah. I really.
Gotta go.
I'm eating brie cheese on like wheat toast. So
That's pathetic. That's like sacrilege in Paris.
hey, it's better than putting it on a Ritz cracker. I'll tell you that.
I guess so.
So tell us about like the people there. Like, did you like meet up with anybody? Did you make any new friends, or what was the vibes?
So I only met up with one person, I think, that I knew from social media. His name's Victor, and I don't know. We probably just liked each
Frankenstein?
other's fit pics before, and it turns out actually
he's
his.
trying to bring a corpse back to life.
It turns out though, so he is originally from I can't remember what. He's from South America somewhere, and he works as a diplomat in Paris. But it
Wow,
turns out
okay.
his partner is actually from like a couple towns over from me in Connecticut, which is totally
That's
wild.
crazy.
And I ended up meeting up with him, and he showed me around like the second arrondissement. He showed me some of his favorite menswear spots and restaurants and stuff, and that was totally great. But other than that, I don't think I met up with anybody intentionally, other than some old friends. We actually did travel to Germany just for one night, and met up with my old au pair, actually, her husband and their two children. Who we've remained close with for a really long time. But as for the people in general, like I think Parisians have the stereotype of being, not very friendly and quite
Right.
rude. That did not hold up. Of all the stereotypes that did hold up, like, yeah, everyone smokes cigarettes and day drinks and takes long lunches and whatever, that shit's all true. Parisians are
do that all the
nice
time.
if you make an effort. So I think a lot
Okay.
of the time, Americans are just like, I don't know, very presumptuous. They think that everyone's going to speak their language and,
So you're
wait
saying
on their
it's actually
coattails
the
and shit.
Americans that are rude. It's
Yeah,
not the French
honestly,
people.
it really is. I mean, I speak a little bit of French. My French is not very good. I took it in high school and then 2 semesters in college. I can talk to people in like a grocery store, or like I can talk to people in shops and whatever, but my vocab is not that good. My accent is not that good. But as long as you try, in my experience, everyone was incredibly nice. And I don't know. Yeah, I had a good experience. And, a big part of me now wants to try and I'm definitely going to investigate graduate programs for teaching in Paris, because I do know of some people that have managed to somehow get the French government to pay for their education. And so if that's something I could swing, I would love to live there for, a year or two and finish up my language skills and just I
so
don't
you
know,
know,
be a
I
part
don't
of
want
the
to sleep
culture.
on a bed. I don't want to
Yeah, exactly.
sleep on the floor. I should say that's what I need to say.
But-
when I come visit you, if that happens.
Yeah, and one more thing, like more broadly, I guess, like I think like the Parisians have a general, and I don't know if it's just Parisians or if it's the French, but they have a joie de vivre that we do not have in the United States. Like they take their time with life, and they, indulge in sort of like the wonderful things, wonderful art and wonderful culture and wonderful clothing and wonderful food, in a way that we just like don't here. You know, they
I mean,
they
they've
all
been
take
around
their
for a
long
long time.
siesta
The
at
buildings are so
lunch.
old.
The people are so old.
You know, it's hard to have a joie de vivre when you're looking at like a fucking Dunkin' Donuts in a strip
It's
mall
also
here.
Yeah,
hard when,
I mean,
when
that
you
is-
don't speak that damn language.
That is true, but like I don't know. They all like there is no takeout. Like people don't order food and take it out and take it on the go. You don't order a coffee and take it back to work. You know, you sit down, you have your coffee, you sit down, you have your food, you smoke your cigarette, you talk with your friend, you know, you wear clothes that are nice, you know, you might not have that many pairs of shoes, but the ones you have are JM Weston. And yeah, everyone just seems to have like a greater appreciation for like the nice things in life. And I have a lot of respect for that, you know. Obviously, then there is the downside of that. Like you go to a store and it just says out for lunch and they're just gone for 3 fucking hours. Or you want to get
what an
something
indulgent
done,
people.
you know, bureaucratic or governmental, and oh yeah, everything's done on paper and they lost the paper. So there is that.
That's why. Hey, that's why. That's why the EU is not based in Paris. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep.
You know, on that note about takeout, I remember so when I don't even remember if we even did a podcast about my Europe trip. Maybe it was even after or
Did,
the
did we?
pod
I
came
feel like we did
afterwards.
something. I don't remember.
We might have done something, but anyway, I remember like the hotel I stayed at. It was like down the street. There was like this really cool restaurant, this like bistro, and I think we were just so tired. And my like, you know, my mom is there. You know, maybe it's like time of the month stuff, so she didn't feel like being outside. And so like they sent me to go order the food, and then I was like, oh yeah, I want to take it back, like I want to take out. They're like, they looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I was like, is there anything like obviously like I was like my parents are like, you know, they're really tired, you know, and I'm like, I'm not a street beggar here, like I'm I'm at the restaurant. And then the guy there was so nice, he literally like took like a plate and like all of like the silverware
Yes!
from the restaurant. He like just covered it with something and he was like, okay, just bring it back later. And then I took it and I went back and they were closed like in the evening. So I went back in the morning and I guess the new manager was there and he's like, why did you have our stuff? And I'm like, oh
no,
the
but
guy
that's
said it was
not
okay.
unusual. The amount of
Yeah.
times that you see people just walking around with actual flatware from a restaurant, like with food on it or without food, like people do that because they'll have their like local brasserie or something and they clearly know the people there and they'll just go there and they'll get like a bowl of beef bourguignon in a porcelain bowl with metal silverware and they'll just take the whole thing back to their like house. It's crazy. It was everywhere. So actually at the big flea market, there are restaurants sort of like interspersed in it, and pretty much everybody at like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock is sitting in their little flea market, you know, booth or like shop, and they have like their like plates and they have a bottle of champagne. Maybe they might even have some like, you know, raw oysters or like foie gras or whatever, and they're just like eating like it's a freaking feast in just
I
like their
do
weird
remember
little
that,
vintage
yeah.
shop. Like it's crazy, man. I don't know.
Well, John, it's been great having you on the podcast. Thank you for coming on and telling us about your France trip.
And what an incredible anecdote to end on.
About people eating in the little vintage stalls for their
Dude,
stuff.
it's weird. I wish we did it here. It's kind of cool.
I always my anecdote with that, and I hope you don't leave us again. That's a little inside joke for us. But like I always love that, like seeing like old Europe. Like I like movies or like just I've heard people like literally just bring like dishes and pots with them whenever they go out. Like that's their picnic, and I'm like. That seems so cool and so messy, like all the soups and stuff, you know. I'm like, here it's like we're so not anti picnic, but like I don't know, the picnic.
I'm anti-picnic. I think they're evil.
But like the picnic vibe here is like a lot different, I think. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit. It's not as like full meal. It's like
It's like drive-through takeout or like just like a
Exactly.
sandwich in a freaking Ziploc.
Or you
know?
just get a bunch of
Yeah.
grapes and cheeses.
Yeah, it's
or you
pathetic.
do what the Spencer and Ethan special, you get a whole bucket of fried chicken, and then you just take that to it.
That's a good move.
I mean, yeah, fuck yeah. Actually, America's great, actually. So
Yeah,
the-
we've got charm. C'est
On the
beaucoup
food and
charmant.
vintage notes,
I did
the-
want to ask. Oh yeah, wait, Spencer, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the closest thing that we have. There's a vintage store in Costa Mesa that I go to sometimes. That's inside a donut shop that you have to ask to be like let in.
Whoa, it's like a
No, that's right.
speakeasy.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's like attached. It's owned by this like Japanese vintage collector,
Mm.
and then it's like a pretty good selection, but it's all very small, so I've never bought anything from it. But
Well,
yeah, you get a donut and you get to see some vintage.
Speaking
yeah.
of that, before we close out here, did you go to McDonald's?
I went to McDonald's. I didn't get anything there,
Okay.
but I saw
Well, did you
the
see what they call a
McChoco
quarter pounder
nuts.
with cheese?
Wait, what?
Did you see what they call the quarter pounder with cheese?
No. Do they have a
Royale
different
with
name?
cheese.
Yeah, it's a Royale.
because of the metric
that's weird.
system. Have you
No,
not
but
seen Pulp Fiction?
They have like the McBaguette, and they have the McChoco nuts, and they have the McMacaron, and it's kind of scary.
I feel well. It was funny. I feel like American branding for McDonald's has gone they've lessened their branding here, and at least in LA, where like now I've always liked McDonald's, and I feel like it's actually like pretty good. It's like everything is like made to order now, kind of like a Wendy's, which I don't know if anyone else listening to this knows what a Wendy's is, but like I think it's gotten better, which is kind of funny because like I feel like they've dropped like the muck whatever, like they just say like, oh, get a coffee at McDonald's, not like a muck cafe. But I feel like I guess in other places like across the pond or whatever, like you have to keep the branding up because it's like
I drove by McDonald's the other day and they had a sign out up front that said "We're McHiring." So
okay, I guess maybe not. Maybe that's maybe the hiring part will still have it. Wait, also, what was that Pikachu that you have there?
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, the amount of weird candies they have and weird like confections and things, it's crazy. That was like a Haribo sour Pokemon like bag.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, and they had like Bulbasaur and Charizard too. Like it was, oh, dude, it was
And,
swag.
and you're a big Pokey head.
I am. On the last or one of the last days I was there, I went to the local Monoprix, which is like their grocery store, and just copped all the weirdest shit that I could. And my brother and I just did like a taste tester and just ate a bunch of
That
weird
sounds
ass
awesome.
candy and like snacks. So
that's
I love that. I should do that whenever I'm in like another place.
Yeah.
I love candy.
Yeah, why
I
don't
love that
you?
shit.
dude, or like,
Yeah.
and the photo is included in the folder, but like they had all these chocolates that were filled with different weird spirits. Like there's an absinthe filled
Ghosts?
chocolate and like a
Okay.
Genepi filled chocolate, and yeah, whatever. But those Frenchies, man.
Yeah.
They put ghosts in there.
They put the ghosts of all the famous dead
Yeah.
French people in there.
Well, John, thank you again. Where can people find you if they want to follow you? I mean, now you're back to posting regular content.
Yeah.
Oh, you also
follow
had
me
your
on-
phone stolen, right?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I know
shit,
we didn't
that's
even
right.
get into that. Maybe we'll leave that for another time. But yeah, follow me on
The phone
Instagram
stealing
at John Greenacre.
That's right.
That's pretty much the only social media that I use. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, and if you guys want to see some pictures, you can go on the blog, a little bit of rest.com, and there's,
And
thank
if you
John,
want,
for taking all the pictures. Yeah.
yeah, and if you want like basically a full recap too, on my Instagram right now, I have I think 4 story highlights that are just pictures from my France trip. So
Nice.
they're a
There
lot.
you go.
That's your place to view the photos.
Well, if you like John a lot, you can follow him, or you can talk to him sometimes on our Discord.
Hell
and
yeah.
you get the access to the Discord.
That's right.
Patreon.com/style and direction. All spelled out. $5 a month gets you access to our Discord and our bonus episodes, where maybe John will come on for bonus episodes too. We can talk some more fun shit. I don't know. We also talk about movies there. And then $10 a month, you get that, but we also say
There's
your
more.
name as a personal thank you. So thank you to Austin Malott, Shane Curry, Philip Gagard, Audrey Jessica, Jarrett Colian, and James Devanzo. We appreciate you guys so much.
Parasocial relationships.
That's right. We'll be back in our future episodes, obviously. So
It's not gonna be someone else.
yeah, it's gonna be someone else or no one else, just Ethan and Spencer. You don't know, but we got some great content lined up for you. Catch us on Twitch Monday and Thursdays for our streaming, since we have to change it up. But we'll see you guys when we see you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Love you guys. Bye.